We got some breaking news for Creighton men's basketball head coach Greg McDermott. He has been suspended after his racially insensitive comments involving his team. We made a video about this a couple days ago, so I'll link that in the description down below. But in case if you guys need a refresher, so basically what happened was he tweeted, Coach McDermott tweeted on Twitter, involving to get his team back together, to rally them around. But he used the wrong analogy. So if you want to know what that is, I'll link the video in the description down below if you want more info. Um, but I do have a quote from the athletic director of Creighton himself, and I quote, after our Creighton men's basketball team returned to Omaha earlier today, FR Hendrickson and I engaged with other senior leaders in dialogue and discussion regarding appropriate sanctions for the remarks made by head men's basketball coach Greg McDermott that were not in alignment with Creighton's commitment to racial equality, diversity, and respect. Coach McDermott and the team have accepted that effective immediately, he is suspended from all team activities, including Saturday's home season finale against Butler. Further sanctions remain under consideration, not all of which will be shared publicly. Coach McDermott and our athletic program must use this incident as an opportunity for growth and learning, as clearly more work needs to be done. Obviously, McDermott apologized for this, but he actually offered if he should resign, but the players and the program didn't want him to. But he actually said that this was the right move to do, which rightfully so. And this article was written by Jeff Borzello, who is an ESPN staff writer. So, Mario, you go first. What do you think of Creighton suspending Greg McDermott?
Well, look, I mean, we knew consequences were going to come, after what he said, we knew consequences were going to come. Obviously, whether his intent or not was to be racist, personally, me, I don't. But again, when you use words like that, it's really hard to kind of like differentiate whether you meant it or not. But suspension was definitely necessary. He's going to be suspended for the home finale. Obviously, that's a big deal too. But yeah, I mean, again, but I'm gonna go back to the quote because I absolutely agree with the athletics director. It is an opportunity for growth and development. Doesn't mean somebody said something shouldn't be like taken upon. It shouldn't be like used against them for the rest of their life. Obviously, it's gonna be something that they can't get rid of, but it doesn't mean they can't grow from it. And I mean, whether it was like the wrong word. Again, whether it was the wrong wording or whether he meant to use those words or that analogy, still, this something had to be done because, again, you said it before, we're living in a day where a lot more stuff regarding race is actually happening, Race has become one of the biggest topics in the world.
Now our eyes are open to it and we take action.
Right. Race is one of the biggest topics in the world right now. And so it's important for us to diffuse all types of racism into, come together as one and use the right words, like we talked about. People shouldn't be using words against people's race or religion against them. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's absolutely messed up. And not saying that Greg McDermott's words, I'm not saying that Greg McDermott's words, they weren't what he said wasn't racist. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we don't know exactly the intent he had behind it. And obviously, assuming that you're coaching a basketball team, you've been coaching basketball teams for the past decade, assumingly, I'm just going to assume that he didn't mean no harm by it. But again, when you use words such as plantation, and you look at the history going back to plantations, you can definitely see why it was a problem, And so with that being said, that is the exact reason why he's being suspended. With that being said, I think this is the absolute right move to make. And like we said, he's lucky he still had a job, But I mean, correct me if I need you to kind of correct me if I'm wrong because I kind of missed this part. He offered resignation, right? Did the players want him to resign?
No, yeah. Let me go to it real quick because I actually found that interesting. He offered to resign over his comments, but the players didn't ask him to do that.
Okay, so the players were against him resigning.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so there's a sign right there, and so here's the thing: if this is a coach, right, who is a completely racist guy, right, and has problems with race his whole entire career, don't you think as players they would want that coach gone? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If he was a racist guy, right, and that's all and these were actual racist comments, they knew, and those players know more than us exactly what he's like as a coach. So for them to say we don't want this guy resigned, he made a mistake, it says something. You know what I'm saying? It says that Greg McDermott, I don't think is a race. I don't think Greg McDermott is a racist guy. And perhaps I think he said some comments. I think he said some comments in which the fact that they could definitely offend a certain race. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was his intent or not, I'm just going to assume it wasn't. Because again, you've been coaching basketball teams for the past decade. Your players think highly of you, which is the reason why they don't want him resigned. Because if it was a serious issue, because if it was even more serious regarding race than what it is now, then they definitely would have made a stand. We seen what happened with the Atlanta. I believe it was the Atlanta Dream when they had Locklear as the senator from Georgia, when they had her as their owner, and she didn't agree with certain views that they had, so they ended up basically shutting her out of Atlanta, which ended up leading to a new owner. We've seen those types of serious situations happen, but the fact that the players are saying, "Look, we don't want him resigned. A suspension is good enough. It teaches him the lesson of not be careful with your words." That right there shows exactly how they feel about him as a coach. If it was if it was the players like, "Look, we want this guy resigned. He should resign, and that's that." If not, let's take a stand and fire him. I can understand, but that's not the case that's going on here. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people are going to be in the comments being like, "Well, he said some racially insensitive things," and that's absolutely true. Nobody's denying that, 100%. And for those players who are affected, we apologize. To all the people affected, we apologize. The point I'm trying to make is not the fact that what he said was. I'm not saying what he said wasn't messed up. It was absolutely messed up. You shouldn't be using the word plantation, knowing what it meant in the past, knowing the history behind plantations, but the fact that the players don't want him resigned, it says so, it's that tells me a huge thing. It tells me that as a coach, they do respect him and they want him to continue coaching that basketball team. So with that being said, I wish Creighton basketball team the best of luck. I wish the players and everybody affected the best of luck. And hopefully Greg McDermott learns from this situation. And again, we're going to say it one more time, okay? Because we don't know how many times we got to say it. Make the right choices, okay? And just love each other. Simple as that. There's no need to be using racial slurs and racial comments, insensitive racial comments. There's no need to be using any of that. Just again, you make the right choices and use the right words, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, right. I'll pick up from there. Good luck to everybody affected. Good luck to Creighton. And I'll wish Greg McDermott good luck, and I say that because he's actually willing to accept what he's done and learn from it. And this is a
Right.
tweet that he recently put out. Let me just find it real quick. "I made my mistake and I own it. Mistakes come with consequences, and I accept and agree with the suspension." So I mean, no ordinary person would just be like that. The fact that he's willing to learn from his mistakes and accept and agree with the suspension, it goes to show that he's actually willing to learn from his mistakes and regain the trust of not only his players but the organization itself. So
Right.
you
And
know,
if and right, sorry, I cut you off. Now, just going back, because I just exactly what you said, him learning from his mistakes. Now, if this ends up becoming a recurring process or a repeating process where he says something again, then that's when you start to kind of look at it like, wait,
does he really mean
like,
it? Right.
right? Does he really mean it? Has he really changed? But continue, man.
Or yeah, I mean, so from what I'm reading, it looks like he's willing to learn from his mistakes and regain the trust of his players, his colleagues, and the entire program itself. So a lot of people would say stuff like that, and they just won't regret it. They won't even apologize for it. Sometimes it takes them a while to speak out to public about it. But for him to immediately speak out there and apologize, and he initially apologized for it. So that I give him credit for that. A lot of people, if they were, like I said, if they were to do something like this, some of them just don't care. They say what they say, and if it doesn't please you, then it's whatever. And some of them, it takes a while for them to speak out to the public about it. Others just don't. Others just don't even speak out about their actions at all. Some of them just do it, and I don't have to speak out about it because it's trending, and it's hashtagged on Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is in the world. It's on there. I don't need to tell you what's there. You know what I mean? So some people don't even speak out about it at all. But for him to, especially him as a coach, he has to take responsibility for what his actions too. So for him to apologize, I personally I accept it. I don't think he necessarily meant to be racist. Because that's a phrase very rarely used. So like, not a lot of people necessarily know exactly what it means. I mean, me obviously I know what it means, and some other people do, but not everybody knows what it means. So I don't think he meant to be racist. But obviously someone caught on to it, and because of that, he had to get a suspension. He's accepted of it, and I'm glad he's willing to learn from his mistakes, and I accept his apology again. So with that being said, good luck to Greg McDermott. Good luck to the Creighton men's basketball team, and good luck to everybody affected by this.
Right, absolutely. Before you end this, Nate, I just want to say, like, let this again to everybody like listening, let this be a reminder to you that like words you can't just take back. We said this in the last video too, but I'm gonna repeat it. You can't rewind 5 seconds and stop yourself from saying the words. Once they come out of your mouth, you can't stop it. With that being said, on no circumstances do we condone any type of racism. You know, okay, like there's no circumstances. This right here, these were absolute wrong comments to make. Absolutely. These are absolutely racially insensitive by far. You know what I'm saying? Now we're gonna I'll put it this way. We're gonna give Greg McDermott a second chance. Everybody's gonna give Greg McDermott a second chance, even his players. So let that take into mind you exactly how they feel about him. They're willing to give him a second chance based off of Greg McDermott's comments. Okay.
Right.
They're willing to give him a second chance. So to Greg McDermott, I don't think he's listening. Do not screw that up again. Okay, you used the wrong words. You apologize for it. Fine, whatever. Apology accepted to everybody. Do not screw that up again. Now you know that analogy was wrong. Do not do this again. Let this be a lesson to everybody. Use your words wisely. It's as simple as that, and make the right choices. That's the way I'm going to end it.